We're going to start with our public hearing. So I'd like to call that to order. Again, it's 5:30 p.m. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you. Lord have mercy, run in my mouth. I'm sorry. Ms. Daniels. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Ms. Green. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Rawls. Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Hill.
Present. Thank you. The sole committee business for this public hearing lies with the Community and Economic Development Committee. I will defer to our Community and Economic Development Committee Chair, Councilwoman Daniels, to lead discussion.
Mr. Parker, could you read the resolution into the record, please?
Yes. Bill 5 of 2025. An ordinance amending the City of Harrisburg's official zoning map to change the parcel zoning designations of 2601 North 3rd Street from the institutional INS zone to the commercial neighborhood zone pursuant to Chapter 7-303 of the codified ordinances of the City of Harrisburg.
Thank you. And can someone from the city please explain what the request, what caused the request and where we are procedurally?
Sure. Good afternoon, City Council. Jeffrey Knight, Planning Director with the City of Harrisburg. Oh, sorry. I always jump the
Yes,
gun on
if we
these.
could first, I will read the exhibits into the record, and then we will have any and all of our potential witnesses be sworn in for the purposes of the public hearing. So pursuant to Chapter 7303, Madam Court Reporter, Tirsa Cameron, Deputy Solicitor, City of Harrisburg, pursuant to Chapter 7303, and for the zoning map amendment for 2601 North 3rd Street, I first would like to say that there is a technical correction to the bill. So it will be Bill 5 as corrected. To read it into the record, it is line 86 of the bill. Line 86 and 87 of the bill should now read parcel ID number 10-042-001, identified as 2601 North 3rd Street, presently zoned institutional, parens INS, is to be rezoned as commercial neighborhood, parens CN. The exhibits will be as follows. Exhibit A is the language of the proposed bill as corrected. Exhibit B is the zoning map amendment application with attachments. Exhibit C is the Planning Bureau case report. Exhibit D is the resolution of the Harrisburg Planning Commission. Exhibit E is posting and the proof of posting. Those are photos. I believe there are 5. Exhibit F is the public notice of the advertisements. And Exhibit G is the proof of publication of those advertisements. If we can now have Zoning Officer Knight as well as the applicant's representative be sworn in.
Gentlemen, whoever plans to testify, would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Go ahead, Tirsa. Please come on.
Okay, Zoning Officer Knight can now speak to what the purpose of this zoning map amendment is.
Okay. As noted, this bill is in relation to a zoning map amendment for 2601 North 3rd Street. This is probably better known as the Polyclinic Hospital in Uptown Harrisburg. As noted, the current zoning designation is institutional, which was, of course, adequate and appropriate for the property when it was functioning as a hospital. But in recent years, the various buildings have been vacated from that type of use And the applicants have purchased the property and are looking to redevelop the property. In the interests of encouraging the redevelopment of the property, as it's a fairly large campus with millions of feet of square footage on it. The applicant has proposed to change the zoning designation to something that would be more accommodating to that redevelopment. Initially, I believe the applicant had proposed a downtown center redevelopment designation during the discussion at the Planning Commission meeting, and in the Planning Bureau's case report. Planning Bureau staff had recommended the property be rezoned to a commercial neighborhood designation for a variety of reasons. Both geographically, the downtown center was obviously designed for the downtown center, where you have a much more intensive use of development, of density, of uses, and because the commercial neighborhood designation is more appropriate for the middle of a residential neighborhood like the uptown shopping or the uptown neighborhood is reflected in. And additionally, there are adjacent properties to this site which are zone CN. So overall, we felt that a CN designation was most appropriate for the site, as it would both allow the applicant to pursue a variety of different uses when considering how to best use this site, while still ensuring that any such development uses or intensity was appropriate for the neighborhood in which it was located. And I would like to note that this proposal is one half of the overall presentation that you'll be receiving today. There is an associated subdivision with this project as well. So I'll let the applicant provide a bit more background on their approach to the project and what they're anticipating, as well as the engagement they've done with the city. But the Planning Commission recommended that the City Council approve the request for the following request to convert the property from institutional zoning to commercial neighborhood zoning for the following reasons. The proposed downtown center zoning district the originally proposed downtown center zoning district would not be appropriate for the subject property, given the significant distance to downtown Harrisburg and any other DC zoned property, and given the significant deviation in use and development allowances between that district and
Excuse
this.
me, Mr. Knight,
Yeah,
would you slow down?
sure.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm going to give you a repeat. Let's see, we'll go back a little bit. Would not be appropriate for the subject property, given the significant distance of the downtown district zoning and other.
Yes, sorry. And any other DC zoned property, and given the significant deviation in use and development allowances between that district and surrounding neighborhoods. The second reason being the commercial neighborhood designation is most appropriate for the surrounding community, given that the purpose of the district is to encourage and preserve corridors with a mix of medium and high density residential and neighborhood retail activities, and to encourage pedestrian oriented uses, and that there are existing CN zone properties along North 3rd Street just to the west. The commercial neighborhood designation supported by the Planning Bureau will provide the applicant with most of the same flexibility to redevelop the site as expressed in documentation submitted for the proposal, allowing uses such as multifamily dwellings, retail stores, grocery stores, restaurants, and offices, while retaining minimal regulatory oversight of aspects such as residential density. And finally, the fourth reason being the rezoning of the property is necessary to effectuate redevelopment of the property in a manner that is both most likely and most beneficial to the surrounding neighborhood.
Would the,
Is that it, Joe?
Yes.
okay, would the applicant like to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councilwoman Daniel, sorry.
No, I'm struggling to hear because my internet connection is unstable, so if are you giving the oath to the applicant?
Yes, I'm going to allow the applicant now to explain the project and flesh out anything else he would like to add from what zoning officer Knight stated already.
Okay, so has he already taken the oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. If the applicant could go ahead and describe the project as as best as you can, and then what we'll do is I'll ask questions to both of you and open it up to council.
Okay, my name is Greg Hallquist, and I'm with Penmark. And I think everyone's gotten a package, or should have gotten a package describing the project, but I believe we have it up on the screen, and I don't know if it makes sense to walk through it quickly for you folks to hear about. Okay. So on the front slide there is an aerial view of our site. It's a massive site. It's close to 300,000 square feet. It's the old Polyclinic Hospital. And the building on the right, which is Building 1, was the hospital itself. Building 2 was administrative, and Building 3 was a combination of hospital as well as the nurses' facility, where the nurses would stay back in the 60s. So we purchased the site about a year ago, and we felt really strongly about the need for a nice mixed-use project here. And we felt market rate housing was needed in Harrisburg, that there certainly are apartments in Harrisburg, but we felt there was an opportunity to bring a kind of a higher level of fit and finish, and also to bring some retail, some mixed use in to serve uptown Harrisburg, because we feel that that's something that's needed. When we bought the property, it's just to note, we retained the person that had taken care of the property for 18 years. And so Scott has gotten to know the neighbors, the neighborhood, and we felt that was really important to, one, we try to be good neighbors as best we can. So one, it was important to retain that, but also just get someone who's familiar with the buildings and knows the buildings really well. So the next slide, or excuse me, on this slide, so Building 1, Building 2, and Building 3. So next slide. Right now, the status of these is, pretty much vacant. Building 1 is partially occupied. Those leases are up in about a year, and it's about 15-20% occupied. Building 2 is occupied now by some office. We call them executive office suites. These are small office suites that provide the ability for folks, local folks, to have office space, for their businesses. So we have a wide range of different folks in that. We're about to renovate the 4th floor. That's the last bit of renovation there. But to give you an idea, those offices are anywhere from 120 square feet to, 400 square feet or 500. So these are small offices that give folks an opportunity to have office space in a setting. And then Building 3 is completely unoccupied, and they're in a state, the whole site is in a state of, it's degrading, it's disrepair. So it's a shame to see this old building, this old campus deteriorate like that, but we're really excited about the opportunity to, rejuvenate it and bring some life back to it. So next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Parking. We have a significant amount of parking contained within this property, which is a real benefit. We have about 620 spaces all told. We own the lot that's catty-cornered to Building 1. And we do have some of those spots set aside for UPMC. So altogether, we have 452 spaces dedicated to our campus, which is important. So next slide. So our vision is to, and this is the opposite view, so I know it can be a little confusing, but the vision was to create a corridor of retail. And again, this is really kind of, I want to say it's not big retail, but these are boutique-y kind of retail, like a restaurant. We might do a grocery store at the corner. We might do a little music venue, something like that, a gym. So it's really retail that would serve not so much the actual facility, but really the neighborhood. We want to put things in there that are going to work, and we'd like them to succeed. So we need to be mindful of what the neighborhood needs. But the primary thing that we have is apartments. So building 3 would be 96 apartments, around 100 apartments. We're still playing with the size. Jeffrey had some good input through the planning commission process on the size of the units, and we've relooked at that, and we've added some square footage to, the average square foot went up per unit. And what, we want to make sure they're the right size. And building 1, which is the real big nut to crack, is about 134 apartments. We're capped out at 230 based on the CN zoning. So that's our vision, and convert an aging, deteriorated complex into what we call like a town center. Again, it's a kind of a low-key town center, but that's the concept. So we have apartments and mixed use. Next slide, please. So that's, a little bit more detail of our vision at the moment. It's, we're going through conceptual design in order to get our work towards our entitlements. We had to come up with a concept, and we're next week. The hope is things are positive with City Council, and then we want to spring forward with full design. So that's our plan. Next slide, please. This gives you a sense of the mass of this site. So the total is 286,000 square feet. Very, very big. Because it was a hospital, there are a lot of space inside this building that was back of house or back of, to serve the hospital. So it's not exactly ideal. We're not sure we can make full use of that or how we're going to make full use of that, but it's challenging. It's not like an easy thing. All these projects are challenging, but we got it at the right acquisition price. So that allows us to move forward and do something a little more upscale than what Harrisburg might be used to as far as fit and finish. Like, we've done a pretty extensive analysis of the inventory in Harrisburg, the market rate inventory, and a lot of it's aged. So we think this is an opportunity to bring in sort of fresh, nicer appointed apartments that are comparably priced to what's in the marketplace right now. We think that's really important. So to give folks an option, on a different kind of place to live. So that's the total site. Building 1 is very large, 180,000 square feet. It is, by the way, on the historic registry. So our plan is to go for historic tax credits. We have a consultant that we've brought in that I've worked with extensively in Philadelphia, does a lot of historic projects there. And what that means to the property. Next slide, please. This is a little more information on the kind of space that we plan to put in. This is really building 1. So you can see it's mostly apartments. The picture that you see there is the level of finish that we envision for the apartments. So they'll be nicely appointed. Maybe a grocer. We currently operate 2 grocery facilities ourselves. It's not the funnest thing to do. We'd love to get a grocer in there, but if we had to, we could operate it ourselves. But we think that about a 14,000 square foot grocer altogether is what you'd consider a mid-size. This might be a little smaller than that, maybe 10,000 square feet. A restaurant, a nice restaurant. We say a jazz club. It's not really a club. It's more just music. We got some good feedback in the neighbor meetings that we had where there was some concern about noise. So we actually changed the design to pull it back in from the street where there might be music playing, which we thought actually made a lot of sense. But some kind of a nice music venue. And the residence gym. It's not a public gym at the moment, but again, we operate a couple of gyms across the country now. And that might be something we consider. Next slide, please. So that's building 1. Building 2 is these executive office suites. So if you've not been in the building, they're really nice. Again, they're modestly sized, but the rent's really good. So it gives folks an opportunity to have office space that they otherwise might not have the idea is in a building, in an office building, and in amongst other entrepreneurs. And building 3 is primarily apartments and possibly a coffee shop on the first floor. So that's why we went for the CN zoning. Next slide. Historic, on the historic registry, so our plan is to go for historic tax credits, which means we cannot go up. We can't really modify this facade much. Whatever we do modify, we have to go through the Historic Commission and, the Federal Historic Commission. So it's going to basically look pretty much the way it is, but get freshened up. And the brick will have to be repointed, things like that. But the roof line, all of that will stay the same. Next slide, please. We're going to be doing the project in phases. So this is a massive undertaking to do all at one time. You can't finance it all at one time. That's why we went for the subdivision the way we did. So our plan is to do, phase one would be building 3. And the reason we're doing building 3 first is it's the right size to get stabilized with the marketplace as you go into the second phase, which would be building 1. So it'll be about, again, round numbers, 100. It's really, right now, it's 96 apartments and a coffee shop. So we'll get that to about 75% occupied, and then we would kick off phase 2, which would be building 1. And that's really for financing purposes. That's what would be required. Next slide, please. This gives you an idea of the fit and finishes of the apartments and the rough layout. So they're nicely, we think they're the right size to the comments that Jeffrey had in his review. He said, hey, just take a look at it. We did, and we've adjusted accordingly because he was right. We had them a little bit on the small side. So we've eked out about another, I guess, 7 or 8% in the count. But the idea is to have, when someone walks into this bathroom, for example, it's, they just say, wow, this is really nice. Same thing with the kitchen. We have about 45 properties around the country, so we have a pretty good buying power. So we're able to get doors, things like that. We buy a lot, so we're able to get good pricing on it. We can up the finish level a little bit that way. Next slide, please. So this is a view on the top of what you see, back behind the hospital, and it's not as nice as that picture shows, but it's definitely degrading. And the vision would be, in this case, that's the restaurant. That actually might be the grocery store, but this is all below grade. So these spaces that you see here are like 5 or 6 feet below the grade. So we would have access by steps down and ramps as appropriate. We also, if you come around the corner, you can get in. There's a side entrance to where the old emergency drop-off was. So we have a lot of opportunity for, good entrance and egress points for the public. And our parking lot is right across the street. But anyway, this is an idea of what we would envision to really make that street, a little bit more alive. And we want to increase pedestrian traffic along that. The hope would help with safety, we believe. So next slide. And then this is the front on the top. It looks like an old hospital. It looks like a vacant old hospital. So our plan is to, again, not change it drastically, really do some landscaping up front and in the courtyard around Building 3 to, bring a place for folks to sit outside and enjoy, the scenery that is, in this area. I mean, it's a beautiful area of the town. So next slide, please. So that's kind of a recap of the redevelopment plan, and then there's a couple slides I wanted to add, if I could, to the next slide. Communication and outreach. So we really are trying to tackle this in 2 phases. One was an initial outreach where we, as we developed our plan for entitlements, to get, what we were seeking in terms of zoning and subdivision, we had to come up with our plan, and we feel it's pretty well baked. We wanted to communicate that plan to the neighborhood, so we had a door-to-door effort that we started out with, where we went door-to-door in like a 1-block radius, where we went and knocked on doors and introduced ourselves. And again, most of the folks know us here, but they don't necessarily know Penmark. They know Scott. But we introduced ourselves and described the plan for them and let them know there would be public meetings. We then had a small, a dry run meeting, really, to sort of practice our presentation, as it were. That's really for me, because I get nervous. And we had our first public meeting. We handed out 150 flyers. We were focused on about a 2-block radius. Was not the greatest showing of folks, and part of the reason that was given was, maybe the directions could have been better. So in the second meeting, we handed about 200 flyers out. We went 3 blocks, and we got a better showing for that meeting. We were also featured in an article in the Berg. So I think it was the second meeting, the Berg was their reporter, and they interviewed us. And as we approach what we hope is getting our entitlements behind us, we would then continue our outreach as we continue on with design. So as we're really planning to kick off design next week in earnest. So we've done what I would call conceptual design. We've test fitted, we've looked at different finishes, made sure things work, but the full design would be working towards permit drawings. And that's where we really get into the meat of the design. Oops, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Good song.
I apologize. That's my daughter stewing. I got distracted there, sorry. So we would have a second round of outreach. And the hope would be we really want to get better outcome, so whatever we can do to make that happen. And then the next slide, so that's an example on the upper right, that's like the flyer that we put together the second time with correct directions. Okay. Next slide, please. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry. Minority participation. So, I know this is of interest to everyone. Any project that we do, especially when we're coming into a city that we haven't been in before. My experience has done a lot of projects for like the Philadelphia Housing Authority, and projects involving subsidies where your funding is, you need to have a goal. You need to make best efforts. And working with a company for 12 years, especially with the Philadelphia Housing Authority, it sort of gets ingrained in you as to how to approach this in a way that's not passive. So in other words, you can't sit back and say, well, we went out to bid and we did our part, because it's not going to cut it with the Philadelphia Housing Authority if you do that. You have to show a good effort. And the way we found to do that was kind of what we've outlined here. So just to note, this is a large project. It's, $30+ million. It could be $40 million when we're done. And that equates to, just phase 1, which is building 3, is, 60, on average, 60 construction jobs. Not to mention supply jobs. And if we can have a small impact on minority participation in that realm, we could make a difference. So what we do is either we're the construction manager ourselves, in which this is the program that we would use, or we will hire a CM. Now, we've already interviewed about 6 construction managers. And part of the criteria for the selection of a construction manager is their MBE, WBE program. And if they don't have a program, we really can't have further discussion. And that's happened. We had someone come to the public meeting who was interested, and I asked them that question, and they said, we don't have a program. And I said, okay, thank you very much. But, you know, we want to come and we want to do a lot of projects in the city of Harrisburg. You know, it's a place that we're going to make, you know, a large project happen. We're going to want to be here. So we know that that's important, and it's also just the right thing to do. So what we do is we start out with finding qualified subcontractors, whether they're registered or not. So if you look at the city's list of registered minority contractors and you sort it by construction, it's really small. And the problem is not that there aren't minority contractors. The problem is that they're not necessarily registered. So we have to do what we have to do to help them register. So it's not just following the line of paper, it's what do we need to do to make this happen kind of attitude. And so what'll happen is we'll create bid packages, we'll solicit them, and we'll hold on-site meetings. And what we want to do is to attract qualified subcontractors. So we're going to go look, we're going to make it known that we're interested, but it really boils down to is how you make it happen is you have to get creative. There are not enough qualified minority subcontractors on a scale of this size to expect that you're going to get an electrician who's going to come in and be able to do the work. You can't expect that that's going to happen, so you have to get creative. What you do is you break that package down, and it may be by floor. In case of electrical, probably not, but it may be low voltage and line voltage. You may break that apart. You may break lighting apart. You may break communication apart, security. You know, there's a lot of, inside of electrical, there are about 15 to 20 packages. So we look at breaking it apart into pieces, whether it's within a division, different scopes, or by floor. So sometimes it might be for drywall. You may have a contractor doing 2 floors and another contractor doing 2 floors to break it up, to make it, or someone that can handle all of it. But if you can't, then we don't give up. We'll hold job fairs. We'll try to help train if a minority contractor can't meet the accounting requirements or whatever it may be. Actually, it doesn't matter if they're minority or not minority. We do that anyway. But we tried to help where we can. So one, they have to be qualified. 2 is what can we do to help that, and either through scoping or otherwise. There's also in that list that we actually have 3 different databases we work with at the home office, and it's not just Harrisburg's. There's a list that's put out by the folks that do the public funding. There's lots of resources we have access to. So that's if we're doing the construction management, and I brought one of the candidates that we have for construction manager is ECI, to answer any questions that if we do go with a CM, I think his focus will parallel ours pretty well. So anyway, I just wanted to add those 2 slides, and that's the end of my overview of the project. Sorry, I was talking to you guys.
I would have slowed you down.
Councilwoman Daniels, are you able to hear us?
Yeah. So thank you for that thorough presentation. I think a lot of my questions were answered. And I just want to be clear, that entire section is just one lot, right? So we're just rezoning one lot?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. So I'll just open it up to my council members. To my left, Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your thorough presentation. It looks good. This area is pretty much vacant right now. So I would like to see it developed. I do have a couple questions in terms of the contractors that you're considering. We do have a construction company in the city. I don't know if you had an opportunity to talk to one of TLC Construction, have you spoken with Tarek?
I
and Mr.
haven't.
Castile?
I
Okay.
haven't, but will be.
Okay, great, because I think that he may be able to offer qualified subcontractors that are certified.
That's,
So
that's
that
what
was
I do.
just
That's
my
what I'm hearing. So,
Thinking.
looking forward to that.
And the parking lot, is that parking lot on Fourth Street?
The
Like-
garage?
Right,
You mean the garage or the?
yes, is
yes.
that part of it?
It's-
Okay,
Yes, it's not part of the subdivision, but we own that lot.
okay,
And we have to own it because we have an agreement with UPMC, so,
okay.
Yeah.
But that includes the 452 spaces, so
yeah,
that's included?
that's part of that, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And then you mentioned high-end apartments.
Mhm.
When you say high-end,
Okay.
price-wise, for example,
So,
a one-bedroom?
one bed, for
Yeah.
example, 1450,
For a one-bedroom apartment? Okay,
in that range. It's about what the,
pretty high.
it's about what that's about what, I guess it's the glass factory
Okay,
is getting. And then studios would be available
Oh,
at
studios
$11.50
okay.
or $11.99, something like that.
And then you probably have two bedrooms in
Yeah,
there too
and
also.
the two beds would be in the 1,700 range. So a family could live here for 1750 range.
Okay. Let's see here. I think those are my only questions for
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, President Hill.
Thank you, Vice President Bree.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your presentation. I was able to meet with you prior to this and kind of go over this project. I think it will be an asset to our city. The building's been sitting there for a while. I think we need to make sure it goes to good use. I like the fact that you've engaged with the community and that you're willing to continue to engage with the community and bring jobs to local residents, not just people in the area that sometimes stretches way beyond Harrisburg itself. Thank you for noting the prices publicly. I know we had discussed it privately when I asked you about it, and that's the same range that you gave me. So I don't have any questions at this moment, but thank you for being here tonight.
Sure.
Thank you, President Hill.
Thank you. I just had some follow-up questions regarding your outreach that you participated in with the surrounding neighbors. You mentioned during the presentation when you shared the potential grocery store and restaurant, music space, I guess you said, not a jazz club. So I was curious to know what you heard from residents. What would they like to see there? Did you hear more of a grocery store interest or a restaurant interest?
I think both. I
Okay.
think there, so on the grocery store, for example, we were told that there's been a few. And we said, well, what was the cause of them not being there anymore? And the predominant theme was the prices were too high, the food was not fresh, and it was not complementary to the cultures in the neighborhood. And so, we take that information, and the feeling was, we would love to have a grocery store, but what about parking? So there was some of the common concerns were traffic. And of course, it was a hospital once, so, I don't think there could be much more traffic than that. But those were concerns, and there was concern about parking. On top of loving to see a grocery store, there were concerns. And we explained about how much parking we have, and it seemed to somewhat appease that. But if I'm a neighbor there, I'm gonna worry about the same thing. I'm gonna have the exact same worries that they have. So we try to reassure them, because in our analyses, parking should not be an issue. Traffic, we can't really speak to, because, that's really more of a city thing. I think it was about people taking spots in front of the grocery store. But, so they seem to like the idea of a grocery store, like they like the idea of a restaurant. They like the idea of a coffee shop. Yeah, I think it was pretty positively received.
That's good. I was just curious
Yeah.
if those conversations informed your plans further, I guess.
It did.
Good. My next questions are around affordability
Mhm.
of these high-end apartments, as you say.
Mhm.
Is your reference Dauphin County's median family income, or have you considered city proper income?
So, just to clarify, they're nicely appointed. They're not luxury apartments. These are priced like the Glass Factory. So these are kind of mid-level, but they're nicer finished for a mid-level apartment. We understand there's about 500 or so, maybe 600 affordable units coming online in the city. That's not what this is. This is a market rate because we believe the city needs market rate as well. So I've been involved in a lot of affordable projects in my career. That is not the intent here. So it's mid-level, nicer appointed, but you know, if it's a $1,400, $1,350 a month, one bed. So for young professionals, things like that. Families can get in at around 1,800. So we really didn't go into the statistics of affordability that way.
Okay,
Because we're
because
not
you
in-
had already determined the level of.
Well, what in order for the project to work with private financing, there's a certain minimum you have to get, or it won't work. Like you just won't be able to do it.
Okay, thank you. I
I'm
don't
just
have
being,
any
that's
other
the
questions.
straight answer, you know?
No, thank you for your response. I don't have any other questions. Thank
Okay.
you.
Hey, Councilwoman Ross.
She's absent today, excused.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Really appreciate the presentation. I had similar questions to President Hill. Just wanted to know what AMI were you using to stipulate? Was it a Dauphin County, Harrisburg, or PA statewide to kind of figure out that configuration? Would you be able to elaborate a little bit more? I know with the private funding, you have to get a certain allotment to make it work as far as the project's concerned.
It was really, because it's not an affordable project, we're not using AMI.
Got you. Okay.
We're basically, what we did was we went and we took public data that's available in the marketplace
Comparable,
of comps,
Yep.
basically. And what we found was that the market rate apartments in Harrisburg are dated.
Gotcha.
Most of them.
Absolutely.
And, the finishes they're just dated. And so, we felt like there was a need for a more nicely finished apartment. We are not at the bottom of market rate rates.
Right.
We're at about where Glass Factory is. We're kind of in line with a couple of I would say, the nicer market rate.
Understood. And then with the, say, the music area or restaurant, not jazz club, is there early discussions or any submissions to the LCB for the proper licensing?
Yeah,
The Liquor Control Board, that's too
no,
early?
I mean, no, not at all.
Too early, okay.
It's too early, yeah.
Just thinking forward.
Yeah,
And
that's a good
parking, you
point.
have ample, actually,
Ample
a
parking.
lot that could support these kind of
Yeah.
establishments. But is there any maybe preconceived notions of like upping security on those music nights, just in the parking lot area, or supplemental lighting, anything like that?
Yeah, so the idea of a jazz club was thrown out there.
Right.
We are not looking for a music club.
Got you. Well, even for the establishments on the ones that are open a bit later, will there be any kind of additions to the parking lot?
So we do intend to have security.
Yeah.
We'll work with the city's Safety and Security Committee
Okay.
to, talk about what steps we can take that make sense.
Yep.
Again, we're new here, so we would lean on the folks that are here to, especially Safety and Security Committee.
And I appreciate your proactiveness in assisting MBWB participation, even to the point where you're breaking down like the scopes of work to smaller packaging to kind of assist. I really appreciate that and being intentional with that. I guess my only question would be for the potential CM, ECI, if you would like to step up to the mic. Just one question. If they decide to go with the construction manager.
Were you sworn in or you didn't take? No. Okay, yeah. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Yes. Thank you.
Could you repeat that question?
Oh, I haven't asked it yet. Just for the record, if you'd like to state your name and the company you represent.
Josh Murray, ECI Construction.
Thank you, Josh. So what would be ECI or your personal experience with like urban development, and or have you worked in Harrisburg as of yet?
Yes, currently we're working at Lake Towers.
Okay.
We finished that up, did Jackson Towers, John Harris High School, a couple of elementary schools.
Go Cougars.
Government projects, but we're mostly known for that public side. So
Okay.
that public side, obviously, we're well versed in MBWB. We worked with TLC on the Jackson Tower project.
Awesome.
So yeah,
So if they did choose to go with a construction manager and went with you guys, you totally confident in the ability to not only get the project up and going, but also to finish through totality.
yes.
Okay, awesome, great. I have no further questions. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Jones?
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. Yeah, great project. I love it. I love it coming to the Harrisburg area. And I agree with you about the market rate. I think it brings another element into the community. A lot of the times what we see a lot of these low-income housings is, in my opinion, I'm seeing poverty move from one area to the next. And I don't think that's something that we should be doing in the city. I think the blending of that, what you are proposing here, is something that is needed in the city, and it'll help out in that area as well. I think this is a great connector to go from 3rd, 4th, 2nd, all the way back down here. We do have a walkable city, so I think this is a great idea. Now, one of the things that I personally would love to work with you if you are the CM. But Mr. Hawkins, one of the things that Councilman Rodriguez just touched upon is how you broke down the projects into floors. I think that's a great idea, because when we're looking at MBE, WE, BE, all of those different things, not everybody's in that certification. And when we use the word local, similar to Council President Green, we go too far out of where we are in the city of Harrisburg. And so I'm looking to help people that are qualified, certified in some areas, whether it's plumbing, roofing, electrician, drywall, to spread this around a little bit. You know, we see, again, there's not too many people that qualify for this, and I love your willing to assist for the paperwork they may need, and some of the things that they may be lacking or deficits within their companies. But I'm really looking to get on the ground and get some of these individuals that usually don't have an opportunity to get on a project of this size. And I think it would help in the community. Again, a lot of the MBE and DBE, all of that is not really what it's cracked up to be, if I can say that. We had looked at our spending, I think it was last year, with minorities in the city of Harrisburg. I think it was about a $35 million spend, and 7% of that was like MBE, WBE. And if you look inside of that to actual people inside of the city, residents, I don't even think it was 1%. So I would like to see some more of that type of involvement. So, you know, at any point, man, just let me know, and I'm willing to, because I know a lot of electricians and plumbers that, you know, that you can give an opportunity to. I'm not just saying give them the job, but give them an opportunity to look at it and compete. Because, you know, we have one major person here that's doing a lot of the stuff, but again, I like to see some of this stuff spread around. So in that regard, the project is great. And I hope you do decide to do a jazz club or a restaurant with jazz music. It'd be great for people to come in, and it's something different. And this is a great part, I think, can be another part of a catalyst of our city being revitalized. This is a great repurposing of a building, of a property right here in the city. I would like to see more, and I heard you say you're looking to do more things in the city of Harrisburg. So look around in the Allison Hill area. You know, that hasn't been touched in about 40 years. So, yeah, I think this is a great project, man, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Daniels.
Thank you. Does anyone have any other last minute questions? Okay. Laura, is there anything else I need to do before closing this hearing?
Lastly, let's just open it up to any public comments if there is any. I know you can't see the room, so maybe we can defer to President Hill to just survey the room to see if there are any citizens or public that would like to comment on this project.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open the floor for public comment. We'd ask that if you'd like to offer a comment, if you could please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper, and I'll begin to my right. Would you like to offer public comment? Please come to this microphone.
Good evening, President, Councilwoman, and Council. First time speaking in a public meeting, so I'm going to try to speak fast but clear. I am a 25-year resident as of August of this summer at that address of 2645 North 4th Street. I'll give my address. I'm not shy about that. I've raised a family at that site, and I have not opposition to this project, but I have concerns. I was at the first meeting, which was, I believe, April 17th, that came by leaflet. I'm not aware of any 1 block radius of knocking on doors. I must not have been home that time. And as well as the third leafleting, which I believe was for this. Are you speaking, sir, of this particular meeting? You leafleted?
No.
Okay. Did not receive a leaflet. And so I'm thinking that I have a little slight question of integrity on that notification to the public, because if I am, and let me get more clear about where I am between building 1 and 2 on 4th Street, so directly across where your proposed jazz club, coffee shop will be happening. So if I didn't receive leaflet number 2, I'm actually concerned that you even made enough notice to the public, and the lack of attendance at this meeting is also proving that. The persons that were at the second meeting were residents there were very concerned, so I'm surprised that none of them are here. So again, that attests to the lack of notification to us. But my concerns, I'll get more specific. With regard to my first concern is the increase to the sewage situation. As we know, Public Works, they work very hard to keep things clean, keep the sewage flowing, keep the water clean. And with that impact to that residential area with such a large capacity, I'm concerned about the sewage upkeep. And, we have days where we, hit or miss on the street cleaning. That's, not your specific problem, but there's definitely going to be an increase to trash, litter, pollution to those that are living there already. I was noticing in your slides, slide number 1, I could see my front door. But in your subsequent slides, where you had the beautiful scenery going on and the lights and the restaurants and so forth, from the opposite side, which was going to be 4th Street, I saw nothing as far as residential homes. I would like to see you actually drawing that into your pictorial, so I know that we are going to still be existing there. Because it just looked like a very shiny sidewalk and some light street lights and streets, but I saw no front facades of homes that are still going to be existing. So I want to know that we are still going to be a part of your plan in that residential area. Again, as far as you use that phrase a lot about residential density, so I'm assuming that means the increase of residents that are going to be compromising that area. I hear crickets at night. So I'm actually comfortable with the current density of population. So with that increase, I'm really concerned about also noise pollution, and that there's going to be a lot of foot traffic, as you said, which means there's going to be persons up all night. Jazz clubs would indicate that. So I kind of like it is quiet. I'm, again, not opposed to a nice project, because I like my property to be upgraded and the property value increasing. By the way, I'm current on my taxes. So, but I also want to point out that, there are enough places where persons can drink, hang out, club it, and that's not one of them. There are children there. There are, people that go to bed at night, get up early. And so, when I think jazz club, I think, people being intoxicated and walking up and down my block. So not something I'm looking forward to.
Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you for your comment, but your time has expired.
Okay.
And ma'am, would you repeat your name?
Yes, can you please state
My
your
name
name?
is Nicole. Last name Reyes, spelled R-E-Y-E-S.
Thank you.
2 L's in Nicole.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. Would you like to offer public comment? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Pastor Harris. My residence is 103 South 21st Street in Harrisburg. I want to speak to the economic effect. Data that came from the study relating to contracts which are issued by the city of Harrisburg, 45% of the contracts go to entities which are housed outside of Dauphin County. In a city in which less than 50% of the land is taxable, I would ask you to consider making it a priority to give geographical preference to entities which are housed in the city so you can tax them, but also for residents of the city of Harrisburg. Because minority participation, where the money goes out to Philadelphia or Lancaster or York, doesn't cut it. The school district is not getting enough taxes. The city is not getting enough taxes. So you get a $30, $40 million project. We need to get as much money going to residents, tracking who's working there, and entities which are housed headquarters in Harrisburg, again, so they can be taxed, so we can get more revenue. I'm asking you to give preference for that because legally you can do that. If that's something which you can do. You don't need to do a study for that. It's not racial preference, it's geographical preference based upon an economic need for the city.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the middle section that would like to offer public comment? Seeing and hearing no one, anyone to my left? Seeing and hearing no one, I would like to invite Ms. Reyes back to the microphone. Were you finished with your comments? Okay, since you're directly impacted and this is a public hearing, I would like those comments on
Thank
the
you very
record.
much. I was going to ask for that reprieve since there's so little attendance by the public. Just, my third concern, which I think is pretty major, is that, sir, you also spoke about that there, is going to be parking provided, but you also cannot guarantee with these new storefronts that that's not going to impact the primary street of 4th Street and surrounding. So while, again, you're providing parking for persons that are going to be living within your complex, and, retail also invites, and you encouraged and said that you would be inviting public customers, that's going to be inviting more parking. So I want to give you a picture of what I currently deal with on a daily basis, which is that I have the span of about 25 feet that I can park freely without a charge. Otherwise, I am relegated to buying a sticker annually to park in front of my home, and that's basically it. So what you're impacting is way more significant than what you think. per home, I would assume that, there's a 2-vehicle, that's, an average. So right now, I'm a school employee, so I'm, during the summer, I'm having a break. Every day I have to be deciding, where am I parking, how long, who's ticketing today, do I have my sticker visual? My only other option is to go to Zembo, which, I don't, if you've done your investigations of the area, there's a Zembo Mosque. They have an ample parking there. There's also a Scottish Rite Cathedral. So both of them courteously allow us residents to park there without violation. They don't tow us. And the city, currently doesn't jurisdict that area, but with your bringing in, again, more retail residents, that 25 feet space that I'm talking about that I can currently park at without losing sleep at night is all I have. So, and we share that. So as neighbors, we kind of rotate. So, somebody gets it, somebody else gets it another day, and sometimes, somebody pulls out and somebody's right behind you to pull back into it. So that's what we fight with all week long. We are working people. So we're up early, come back home, you want to park, you're tired, you want to drop your bags, be done. That's not something you want to have to be thinking about. Where am I parking today? So more impactful than you're probably considering. So that's pretty much my final concerns, but they're all major to me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to offer public comment? I don't want to miss anyone. Seeing and hearing no one, the time is 6:31 p.m. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your participation this evening. At this time, it is 6:32 p.m. I would like to call our work session to order. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Daniels? Ms. Davis?
Present.
Ms. Green?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Present.
Ms. Hill?
Present, thank you. For committee business this evening, there shouldn't be a lengthy work session, I'll note that. Since we discussed Bill 5 of 2025 already and Resolution 33 of 2025, they're synonymous, so that would be redundant for discussion, am I correct?
Yes,
Okay,
it would be up to you if you would like am I on? Okay.
yes.
Resolution it's a part of this. It's a subdivision that is a part. It would be up to council if you had additional questions in that regard.
Okay.
And if so, maybe it would just be beneficial to leave them here and start with them.
can start with
if
that,
there are
that's
some
fine.
questions. If
Sure.
not, yes, Bill 5 has been addressed at length. I don't know
Yes.
if you want to just skip to the resolution if there's any questions.
Yes, we can do that. Thank you. So we will begin with the Community and Economic Development Committee business. As I mentioned, we've discussed Bill 5 of 2025 in length. We will move to Resolution 33 of 2025. Councilwoman Daniels, would you like to lead discussion for this?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
First, can the resolution be read into the record, please?
Resolution 33 of 2025, a resolution approving the preliminary/final subdivision plan for 2601 North 3rd Street to subdivide the existing property into 4 separate parcels to effectuate redevelopment of the entire site into a mixed-use development, along with associated site and access improvements.
So, Mr. Knight, if you don't mind explaining kind of the subdivision into 4 separate lots?
Sure. So this aspect of the property would be, I guess, considered like a phase 2, with the zoning map amendment being a phase 1. And then to clarify the procedural aspects, any decisions made on these two would only address these aspects. an eventual redevelopment and reuse of the property would still need to file a land development plan. In response to Ms. Reyes's questions, and this wouldn't be the final opportunity that either City Council or the public would have to be to hear about this project, learn about it, engage with the developers as it comes through the process. So with that being said, this resolution is in regards to the subdivision of the current property at 2601 North 3rd Street into four separate parcels. I believe those parcels will encompass Building 1, Building 2, Building 3, and the parking on the western side of this lot. So it will create 4 different parcels out of the current property, and the applicant can provide a little bit more information on the purpose of this particular aspect of the project. But as I understand it, it's necessary to help with the financing of the project, breaking it into smaller parts. Not only makes that easier to finance, but also to phase the construction of it. So you're not working at like one end of a large parcel and having to get to the other end to finish the project. But overall, it's a relatively straightforward subdivision. One of the major considerations in something like this is, are you creating any aspects that need zoning relief when you're subdividing? Like if you're subdividing right up against a building, you create an encroachment into a setback, for example. In this case, the subdivision will not create those issues, so the parcels to be created are all in conformance with the zoning code, with the applicable zoning regulations. So with that being said, the Planning Commission recommends that the City Council approve the request for the following reasons. The proposed subdivision will create individual lots which are in conformance with the applicable zoning regulations regarding development standards, and the proposal will help effectuate the conversion of a sprawling, largely vacant institutional campus into a mixed-use town center development, providing a significant number of new housing units and commercial businesses for future residents of the site and existing residents of the neighborhood.
Thank you. And if the applicant could just very briefly provide an explanation for the need for the subdivision.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. It's basically, as Jeffrey said, a project of this magnitude is not financeable as a whole mass. Lending institutions, will not take that risk. So they want it to be subdivided so that you're doing Building 3 is one lot. Building 1 is one lot. And that's why we're doing it. It's purely for that reason.
Thank you. And love your, so when we vote on this, we do have to make sure that we vote in the right order, the bill first and then the resolution, right? Or does it matter?
I don't think it matters, but usually in the agenda of things, the bills come first. I mean, I think in that the zoning map amendment becomes important because they need the zoning change to allow for the things that they want to phase in. So though it doesn't matter technically, I think we are doing them in the proper order. You change the zoning of the area, give them the subdivision, and then, as was said, as individual things are finished, they will have to come back before so that you can have additional questions, additional public engagement, et cetera.
Thank you. So that's it for me. I'll open up to my colleague, Councilwoman Davis.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. I was just thinking about the possibility of maybe re-engaging with the community again, getting some flyers out, inviting people back in to, go over your plans so that we could get more feedback. Otherwise, I don't have any questions, just that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Green.
Thank you, Councilwoman Daniels. I don't have any questions regarding this. Thank you.
President Kell.
I don't have any questions regarding the resolution. Thank you.
Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for my own edification, what part of the phases will include the parking? that fourth part?
All of them.
All of them? So
Yeah.
it's simultaneously, kind of?
Yeah.
Now, I know this may be unprecedented, but everything we do in council chambers, whether we're working with the mayor or the business manager, it's a negotiation. It's a give and take, trying to do what's right for the residents. Would it be out of the realm to say if any part of this project impedes on the resident in the immediate area's ability to park, would you be able to maybe allot some of the spaces in that area so they're not, so that we can kind of accommodate their everyday life? Because if the project does impede on, let's say what Ms. Reyes was saying, that 25 feet that they kind of battle for on a daily basis, is there anything we can do as far as this project, since it's so massive, to kind of just appreciate and accommodate them a bit throughout the 4 phases of the project? If that's in a possibility at all, I'm sure they'll appreciate that.
So we'll definitely take a look at that. We do need to have a certain amount of parking
Yep.
to meet the zoning requirements.
Absolutely.
I will say that if there is a need for parking now,
Yep.
we've always offered up spaces for anyone that needs a space, if that's a need now.
Ms. Reyes.
If there's a need for a space now, we have been giving neighbors the ability to park in our lots.
I'm aware of that.
So it was good just to have that set on the
As
record.
Tow zone, that parking lot that sits behind your building is actually posted as tow. So I would not personally park in that lot, assuming anything, because it's indicated that we.
So what we've done is we've given passes to the parking garage. So why don't I talk to you after the meeting, and
That would be
I'll look into
fantastic.
that.
That would be fantastic. This way they're not inconvenienced at all in their everyday life because they're trying to just get to work, take care of their families. And I understand there's beautiful projects coming about, but we definitely don't want to inconvenience any residents. So if we can kind of team up a bit and come up to that resolution, that solution would be amazing. Does that sound doable?
Well,
And I know you can't do it for everyone, that's unreasonable, but just those immediate affected residents, right? That's reasonable.
We've tried to be good neighbors.
I love that.
And speaking to Scott, who's the person that's taking care of these properties, we plow for people, we do all kinds of
No,
things.
I appreciate that. But I'm trying to forward think, because we've seen this happen a lot with the State Street project, other projects where our senior citizens are woken up 6 a.m. and expected to dart to their vehicles. It's not realistic.
When I was a homeowner in Mount Airy, there was a big development coming. I had the same concerns, like, this is my home. You know, like, it's,
If the applicant would.
Speak it to the mic.
oh, I'm sorry. This is my home, you know, and it's an unknown, and I don't trust anybody, and, you know, I get it. Like, I
Absolutely.
totally get it.
So if there's
The
anything to do,
extent of what can be done there, I don't want to commit to.
I understand that.
Because I would, you know, I just don't want to say what can or can't be done, especially when this is all up and running.
Yep.
But in an interim thing where, for a period of time, if it's not, you know, there's no reason for us not to.
And that's all I'm asking for as a
Yeah.
council member that's representing these residents in the city of Harrisburg.
Absolutely.
At least a commitment throughout the interim of the project.
Absolutely.
I can't say anything for the finality or what happens after the totality is all concluded, but just for residents like Ms. Reyes
Absolutely.
that battle and get challenged for parking to begin with, this may be a bit more uphill challenge for them.
No
Why
problem.
can't we kind of make it convenient for them?
Yeah,
That's all I ask. If you can commit to that, that would be amazing. By way of maybe parking pass, just so they're not held accountable or penalized in any way, and it's recognized.
there's going to be a limit to what that is,
Absolutely.
but there's.
Absolutely.
Just to, again.
But give and take a bit, I appreciate that.
The
greatly.
precedent is, whether we did a lousy job of communicating that.
Right.
I was unaware of that,
Right.
honestly. At one of the meetings, Scott mentioned that we were doing that. I had no idea. I'm new to Penmark,
Hey,
so I
that's a
don't know.
part of living. We
So-
learn every day, and that's what keeps us human. But
We'll make a commitment to look into it hard, and we'll talk to Ms. Reyes.
sometimes you
after.
dribble, shoot, hope for the best. So hoping that we can just come up with that at least to convenience them along the way. That
Understood.
would be fantastic. Thank you.
Understood. Yeah.
Nothing further, Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
Councilman Jones?
Yeah, what he said. No, honestly, I think there is room to, because none of this is in stone completely correct. So there is opportunity for you guys to continue to dialogue and making sure you can accommodate them as much as possible. Parking is just a problem around the world right now. everybody got 20 cars and they're big as I don't know what. The state's painting lines that are too long and taking away parking spots. So this is a huge problem. I think we're in a contract with the wrong people, but that's for another conversation. So yeah, just making sure that you can continue to do that outreach with the community, and there is time. I think that you guys will be able to compromise in a good way to get some good results. But to Ms. Reyes's point, I would love to see a jazz club. I know it wouldn't be in front of my house, but I mean, this is just something though. We have to look. We really have to be able to negotiate in a humane way, and I think we'll be able to do that just because our city's in trouble, and we need to really uplift our city. And something like this would help, but we don't want to hurt the residents at the same time. So I think just keep the dialogue open and just keep going back to the table. That's all I have.
Thank you. So I guess we'll put Bill 5 and Resolution 33 on the next legislative agenda for community members. The questions or concerns, they can contact council members about them, and I think that's the end for community and economic development business today.
Thank you. So we will go back to the beginning of our agenda, but I just wanted to note we will be going over Resolution 47 of 2025 this evening. That is the business of the Building and Housing Committee. We will discuss Resolution 47 of 2025 during a special legislative session nearing the end of the month. As we are required to, we normally come back during our hiatus. So more details to come, so we will be going over that for this evening. So the final committee business lies with the Administration Committee. We have one resolution for discussion, Resolution 46 of 2025. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Resolution 46 of 2025, a resolution appointing Mr. Basir Vincent to serve on the Harrisburg Planning Commission.
Thank you. Mr. Vincent is present, if you wouldn't mind joining us. Good evening. If you wouldn't mind taking a moment to please introduce yourself.
Good evening. My name is Basir Vincent, resident 315 South Front Street. Just recently, I've had a history most of my career. I've spent in manufacturing, also community service, started Young Professionals of Color. Recently actually ran for city council. Spent a significant amount of time researching and learning about the city's comprehensive plan. So I'm excited for this potential opportunity.
Thank you. What impact do you believe that you will be able to make should you be appointed to serve on the Harrisburg Planning Commission?
Just really being process oriented, looking through some of our documentations and our processes, and offering to abide by a pretty strict guidance, but then really challenging things through reading and processing information.
Thank you. I don't have many questions for you. I'll open the floor to my colleagues who may have some additional questions. I'll begin with Councilwoman Daniels. Do you have any questions for Mr. Vincent? We'll come back. I don't know if she can hear me. Councilwoman Davis, any questions?
Thank you, President Hill. Good evening, Mr. Vincent. Do you foresee any conflicts of interest with being on the planning board?
No, I currently don't have any. I don't have any development companies or anything that I think would present any particular interest that I couldn't dismiss myself for if it was a particular project that I was invested in through my nonprofit or through my business.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Green, any questions?
Thank you, President Hill. I don't really have any questions for you. I kind of got to know you a little better throughout the campaign season, but got to know you and your passion for the comprehensive plan pretty well as the Planning Commission was going through it, and you were holding sessions with YPOC to kind of break it down a little further. So definitely appreciate it. I appreciate your willingness to continue to show up. because a lot of people run for office and then disappear afterwards. So I appreciate you standing up and continuing to be willing to serve the city of Harrisburg. So thank you, and I look forward to working with you.
Absolutely, appreciate that.
Councilman Rodriguez, any questions?
Thank you, Madam President. Good to see you as always, Mr. Vincent. Very familiar with each other. Appreciate the work you've been doing thus far, and I just love your passion for accountability. So I think, you'll be a perfect fit in that realm, and I look forward to working with you more in that capacity. And just thank you for your willingness to stay in the game and stay in the fight and play a role. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilman Jones, any questions?
What's that? No questions.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilwoman Daniels, do you have any questions for Mr. Vincent? Okay, I take that as a no.
All right.
So thank you for being here this evening. I move to add Resolution 46 of 2025 to our next legislative session agenda for a formal vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will open the floor for public comment. Again, the same housekeeping notes apply. Please state your name and your address for the meeting record. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper, and I'll begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing no one. Anyone in the middle section? Seeing and hearing no one. Anyone to my left? Okay, seeing and hearing no one. The time is 6:51 p.m. I will entertain a motion to adjourn our work session.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, okay, and a second, is that a second? Okay, thank you. We stand adjourned from our work session. Okay, the time is 6:51 p.m. I would like to call our special legislative session to order. Mr. Parker, could you please call the roll?
Ms. Daniels. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Ms. Green.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Rawls. Absent, excused. Mr. Rodriguez.
Present.
Ms. Hill.
Present, thank you. I will lead the invocation this evening, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilman Rodriguez. So I'd like to ask everyone to please keep the following residents, families, and friends in your thoughts and prayers in the weeks and months ahead. Mrs. Frances Fulton Jackson. She received her formal education in the Harrisburg School District. She was a proud graduate of John Harris High School class of 1970. Following graduation, Ms. Frances began active duty in the United States Army in June 1973 and continued her service through September 1976. Following her active duty service, Ms. Frances joined the U.S. Army Reserve, where she served with distinction from 1973 to June of 2012, rising to the rank of Master Sergeant and retiring honorably. Ms. Frances' civilian career took her talents to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Office of the Comptroller before serving as a health benefits advisor for TRICARE, where she retired. She was an active member of her church, St. Paul's Episcopal Church. Just a beautiful woman. Dr. Carolyn Dillon Carter received her formal education in the Harrisburg School District. She was a graduate of William Penn High School class of 1957. For more than 30 years, Dr. Carter served as an elementary and middle school teacher and a well-respected administrator within the Harrisburg School District. Dr. Carter is also remembered for founding the Strawberry Garden Preschool to benefit children, families, and the greater Harrisburg area. Miss Jessie Sharp, she moved to Harrisburg in 1968 and began working at Harrisburg Hospital. Later, she was employed by the Harrisburg School District as a school nurse for 29 years. She was the first African-American registered nurse working for the Harrisburg School District to become coordinator of school health services. In her leisure, she enjoyed plays and traveling. Miss Brandy Lester, she received her formal education in the Harrisburg School District. She graduated from John Harris High School class of 2001. In her leisure, Brandy was an avid reader. She enjoyed crocheting, listening to music, and attending family gatherings. Finally, Bishop Dwight Joppy Sr. received his formal education in the Harrisburg School District. He graduated from Harrisburg High School, class of 1983. He was the co-founder of Harrisburg High School's Voices of Joy Choir. Bishop Joppy is remembered by his family and friends as a man of great conviction and greater compassion. If everyone could please join me in a moment of silence for these great women and men. Thank you. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilman Rodriguez.
All rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Rodriguez. Courtesy of the floor, one final time, we will open the floor for public comment. As I just stated, please state your name, your address. If you don't feel comfortable sharing your address, please share the vicinity in which you live within the city. You will have 4 minutes to share your comments. Mr. Parker will serve as our timekeeper, and I will begin to my right. Is there anyone that would like to offer public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing no one. Anyone in the middle section? Seeing and hearing no one. Anyone to my left? Seeing and hearing no one, we will move forward with our meeting agenda. Our sole order of business this evening is Resolution 48 of 2025, which we will read into the record. Mr. Parker, could you please read it into the record?
Yes, Resolution 48 of 2025, a resolution approving the fourth proposed 2025 budget reallocation.
Thank you. We will reserve discussion for next week's legislative session. Is there any old business for discussion, council members? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Any new business? Okay, seeing and hearing none. The time is 6:57 p.m. I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
second.
Thank you. We stand adjourned.